Hello and welcome to Life Less Ordinary and to my kitchen that hasn't been cleaned yet. This morning what I'm going to show you is one of the things that we have tried to replace from buying from the store, from the grocery, from Woolworths or Coles, and that is mayonnaise. I've had to try a couple of different additions to the recipe to get it so that my family will actually eat it. And the reason that I've gone to this effort is, I don't know about you, but have you had a look at the back of the container of a mayonnaise bottle or a mayonnaise squeezy jar? There are a lot of things in there that I don't know what it is, or that, say for example, aren't in a homemade recipe. What I'm going to do is show you how easy it is. I think the other reason that people wouldn't do something like this is because they think it's too difficult, because there is an emulsifying process that needs to occur. But I have been doing this for since probably mid-December, and I've not had too many complaints. The first one I made, yes, because I added too much mustard, but I've tweaked that. The recipe I was using was American, and I have found that American recipes tend to add either too much sugar to things or too much seasoning. So I've tweaked it. So what do you need for mayonnaise? You need eggs. So we have our own chickens, so I use our own eggs. You could just use the egg yolk, but the recipe I have used is using the whole egg. Whole egg mayonnaise does taste really, really nice. And the other things that you need are an oil. So in our family, we steer clear of any seed oils, and stick with our mono unsaturated oil. So we go with either avocado oil, olive oil. If you're using olive oil in a recipe like this, I would definitely go for a light one. Light meaning it's lighter flavor, not that really strong extra virgin olive oil flavor, because that will overpower the mayonnaise. And what was the other thing? Coconut oil. Coconut oil is also good. When you use avocado oil, you can see that it has a greener color, so the mayonnaise will have a much brighter color. So you need oil. You also need things that will help the mayonnaise to emulsify, to thicken up. So vinegar. So you could just use white vinegar. I'm going to try using apple cider vinegar this time. Another thing that helps with emulsifying is mustard. So, and also I use lemon juice as well. And then last of all is a little bit of salt. So they're the ingredients that we use. Very simple. Let's get into it. So what I'm starting off with is the jar that it's going to go in. Now this has been washed in the dishwasher, so that's a high heat. I'm not going to sterilize it. This will be stored in the fridge for a week. I wouldn't keep it in the fridge for any longer, and I'm only making enough that will last a week anyway. So the jar that you're going to have it in, an egg. Now, we sometimes, particularly when it's raining, end up with a bit of muck on our eggs. I do not wash them unless they're particularly bad, because there is a bloom that protects the inside of the egg. So if you wash eggs, that bloom goes. Eggs are porous, so if you take that bloom off, then anything smells from the fridge, smells from the room, the egg will absorb that. So I have chosen an egg from our stash that was very clean. So we'd obviously collected on a day when the kids have got clean bedding in there. The chickens haven't pooped all over everything. So clean egg cracked into the jar. And then we're just going to add a teaspoon of mustard. Okay, again, mustard is the emulsifier. It helps with the thickening process. A teaspoon of mustard, half a teaspoon of salt. And then the juice of lemon, 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. So all 3 of these are what will create this thick mayonnaise. 2 teaspoons. 1, 2. Okay, I've got some lemon juice for something else later. And then 1 teaspoon of our vinegar. So we're adding all of this in. And then I'm going to add the oil on top. So I'm using 3/4 cup. So I don't have a 3/4 measurement. I could guess from a 1 cup and measure down, but I'm actually going to use a 1/2 and a 1/4 and get it there that way. So that's the 1/2. So this oil should sit on top. So you can see it's got that lovely green colour. Didn't seem off-putting to the kids the last time I made it with this. So I'll just let that sit for a little bit to make sure, yeah. So everything is on the bottom. And then the only other thing that you need is a stick blender. So this gets made in the jar. So no huge amounts of mess, no trying to tip things into other things, all that sort of thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in and on the bottom. So I'm not going to move it around, but I am going to turn it on and you will see the emulsifying start. So once the emulsifying starts, then I can move the stick blender around. But until that emulsifying starts, don't move the stick blender. Okay, try turning it on PowerPoint. So you can see that thickening happening. Okay, so now I'm moving it just to blend it together. So look at that, that's nice and thick. That's what mayonnaise should be like. Oh, and without all the nasties. Let me just turn that off before I decide to test the flavour. Always turn it off. Very nice. So I will then, now that that's done, it's fully blended, it will then go in the fridge. The only other thing to say would be, this is something that's difficult to do with kids, but training them to use a clean utensil every time they go into this. That way things don't contaminate. They're in that practice already when it comes to yogurt. Okay, I have drilled that into them with yogurt, not to use metal spoons and always use a clean spoon to clean it out. So sometimes that's a difficult thing to get going with your kids, but but enough rousing on them, and them seeing me throw things in the bin because they've contaminated it and there's been muck in there, has helped them to learn their lesson. So that is now done. That is homemade mayo, egg mayo. That means that I don't have to buy it from the store. There are other things that we have in the last year or so, probably the last 5 years. We, for one of the things, we do make sourdough. Sourdough bread. Not buying bread from the store is still difficult because my husband in particular likes store-bought bread. I have just started making a sourdough sandwich loaf, but I'm still playing around with the recipe with that because, like I said earlier in this video, American recipes tend to have too much, in this case, sugar in them. So I've just been trying to dial back the sugar in this sandwich loaf that is really quite soft, and the kids actually do like it, and Dean likes it, but because it has too much sugar in it, they won't necessarily eat it as for sandwiches, which is what I'm trying to go for. So trying to get that balance between the sourdough and the crumb of a sandwich loaf. So that's another thing that we have sort of started trying to swap out from store-bought. The other thing is making your own vanilla essence. So I will do a video on this at some point, because this is the one that I made last May, and I do need to decant it because we have sort of used down to here already. So these are vanilla beans, this is vodka, you can use bourbon, other sort of strong alcohol, but the difference between this and what you buy in the store, you just cannot compare. So these are just a few things, but in particular the mayo, how to make your own egg mayonnaise. Give it a try. Anyway, thanks for joining us in our rather messy Life Less Ordinary.